I'm Kregg Mathews, here joined by the Athletic Director David Lynn, and we are here to discuss the 2022-2023 sports year here at Oklahoma Christian. So, David, just tell us your initial thoughts as you've had a little bit of time to reflect on the year we just had.
Well, Kregg, coming off a year where we finished top 100 in the Learfield Directors Cup, which is our best Division II finish ever in 21-22. I think expectations were high for us coming in this year, and really felt like we had some great finishes to the seasons and the years, and did some great things in regionals and postseason competition. And so, overall, I think it's a year we can really be proud of.
Yeah, and I think the big word for me that I've seen this past year is momentum. I think we carried that momentum from the top 100, from the golf finish last year into this year, and just brought a lot of energy into the season from Day of Giving to our facilities improvements to the team's performances. You can just kind of see how things are building here at this level. And so I want to go through sport by sport. We can give a little breakdown of each sport. So volleyball had a strong season, finished over 500, 15-14. Their first class kind of graduated. We're going to go into our first season with a coach here for his third year. So that'll get to continue to grow. So kind of what do you see from them this year, and what do you expect to see?
Yeah, I don't think it can be understated. Having a winning record in your third season, and really the first season was COVID, right? Was kind of a spring volleyball season.
Right.
So this was our second fall season to compete. We were 15-14. Jason, Coach did a good job with the girls. Like you said, kind of our first class was graduating and finishing, and really, I think, as you mentioned before, momentum, right? I think the team really has a lot of momentum, and Jason's kind of got his first full recruiting class, I think, that he's got coming in, and is excited about that. And so I really look for bigger things from volleyball team this year. And, sustained winning at the Lone Star level in any sport is extremely difficult and something we don't take lightly. And so while it's always the goal, I think they're definitely on the uptick.
Right. And the volleyball season and soccer go hand in hand. So we had women's soccer, who is continuing to improve. They had Kyla Lovelace on the third team, Brooklyn Fink also on third team, and then Aubrey Bray on all freshmen. And so they just continue to build. What are you seeing over there at women's soccer?
Well, Coach Dressel's got a lot of momentum also. I think he's kind of got his feet under him now for the first time, and I think he really is feeling also kind of having his own recruiting class. And most of the kids that have graduated are kids he didn't recruit, and so I think he's got more of his own players in there, and I think he's really looking to establish some momentum of his own. We've certainly got some momentum finishing the press box project and just completing the field renovation. Obviously, the locker rooms have opened up in the last few years. And so I think there's a lot of momentum on the soccer side. And I think the last thing kind of for Coach Dressel is to just kind of get a few more wins here and establish his ability to kind of navigate the Lone Star Conference, right? It's just difficult travel and it's difficult games. And so I know that he's really looking forward to kind of putting his own stamp there and moving forward. And so I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and that momentum and all the improvements over there really showed with men's soccer, going 11-5-5, completing the 10-game turnaround from the year before, making it all the way to the Lone Star Conference championship game. So what do you see over there with the men's soccer?
Well, look, Coach Sowerby's just flat out a winner, and he's already proved that already. He's made the 10-game win turnaround, like you said, which that's massive in a game where in a sport where they only play 18 games. And so that run they made to the conference finals was unprecedented for us on the men's soccer side. We had some first-time things with goals scored from freshmen and a lot of great things going on. And so I think I know Coach Sowerby's looking forward to playing a little bit more competitive schedule this year to kind of get them in the place to get to a regional. Obviously, that's kind of the first and foremost is, hey, how do we get, we've been competitive in the LSC now for a year. He wants to kind of get competitive on a region basis. And so I look forward to kind of him. I know they're going to Pueblo, and I think Colorado Springs this year for a doubleheader to kind of, like I said, get a better schedule, play against some better competition, and I know they're excited about that.
And David just broke some news right there. I know the boys are itching for the schedule, and it'll be out soon, so you can stay tuned to OCEagles.com and our social media pages for the schedule release there. I also wanted to shout out, so Yup Clausen was all-region. Danny Gutierrez scored the most goals in a season by a freshman, and Yup was right there with him. And then the goal total, and then Yup was second team. We had 3 on the third team and 2 on the all-freshman team with Danny and Elliott Forrester. And then we'll move on here to men's and women's swimming. They had another great year with men's placing 10th at the NCAAs and the women's placing 24th, just by Cheyenne Dennison herself carrying the team.
Yeah.
So, and they also had I believe, 8 All-Americans. So just talk about the year that swimming had.
Well, Coach Davis and Coach Yanchulis do such an amazing job with our swim program. They've been nationally competitive now 2 years in a row. Last year we finished 11th. This year we finished 10th, like you mentioned. They've got multiple kids going in there and earning All-American status, and the girls, obviously Cheyenne finished 24th all by herself. It's just amazing to see the type of student athletes they have, the dedication that they're putting in, sometimes 2-3 practices a day, school, travel, all of it. It's amazing. And so I'm so proud of their finishes and their team chemistry and the way that they operate. And no, swim has definitely got the momentum going, and Coach Davis and Coach Yanchulis are doing an unbelievable job with that program.
And we saw that even with the starting blocks. We got to see Eagle Nation come together in just a week and come up with new starting blocks. They just cleaned up the pool, and it looks really good in there right now. So,
and we would be remiss not to mention their 24-hour swimathon that they had, where they raised, I think, close to $10,000 from NOAA and some athletes, and swimming for basically 24 hours straight, which was unbelievable. Very cool to see. Something I definitely don't want to be a part of personally in the pool, but amazing.
No doubt.
Amazing.
I can hardly swim. So, but yeah, if you don't know what that was, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. They swam for a mile every hour for 24 straight hours, and they actually made it up to 26.2 to do a full marathon. So something you could hardly dream of. I don't know how they come up with this stuff, but they did it and they accomplished it. And there's about 6 or more of them who did it. So impressive job over there for the swim team. So we'll move in to the fall wintry sports with basketball. Women's basketball, we had Markeith Brown in his first year. They had a great end of the season, ending on a 3-game winning streak, winning 5 out of their last 6. Brooklyn Baines, second team all-conference, all-defensive team, and Kate Bradley led the conference in three-point shooting. So what did you see out of Markeith in his first year?
Well, I think it was apparent that obviously the girls and the coaching staff were really trying to feel each other out from the standpoint of how things were going to go, what practice would be like, what games would be like, how coaching would be like, just trying to basically figure things out on the fly in a coach's first season, which is difficult, especially when it's mostly kids that you inherit and so forth. So, like you mentioned, they ended the season on a 6-game winning streak. And, I think from a momentum standpoint, I'm really excited to see kind of how now that they've kind of had a full year to recruit and kind of, again, bring in some more kids that are going to fit their system. I think you're going to see a lot of exciting things from women's basketball in 23-24.
Definitely excited for that. I know they have some recruits they're excited about, and the team they kept bringing back. So it's going to be a fun year in the nest. And then men's basketball had 2 all-conference honorable mentions with Antonio Gordon and Drew Tennille. I know we definitely saw in the non-conference schedule, it was one of our best non-conference performances in the D2 era. So they did really well there, and then maybe things didn't go the way they wanted in conference, but just what do you see from men's basketball?
It is, our conference schedule is just absolutely brutal, as it is in most sports. But I think Kendra's on the path to getting it figured out. I think figuring out what kind of guys he needs in his program, what basketball knowledge he needs, basketball IQ, athleticism, and how to mold that together. Kendra's a young coach, and I knew that there would be some bumps and lumps along the way, just kind of figuring out that process. But I don't know that there's a better representative of OC than Kendra Talley. And so, he's got my full support, and I'm just looking forward to kind of seeing him establish some momentum this year, I think.
Yeah, and again, they're excited, as always, about the recruits they have coming in. And I know they got some familiar faces to themselves, so hopefully that can bring some continuity to the team.
Yeah.
So we'll move in to indoor and outdoor track. Indoor broke 7 school records, and then Dylan Burrows earned All-American honors at the NCAA championships. And then also in outdoor, we had 2 advance to the NCAAs with Torian Montgomery and Dylan also, and they both earned second-team All-American honors. So what do you see out of track this year?
Well, Dylan, what a fantastic year. All-American twice. I think he finished 5th indoors, if I'm not mistaken, and then maybe, was it 10th outdoors or 9th?
Yeah.
And I believe he ran 148 in the 800, which is just absolutely fantastic. And so, Wade continues to bring in high-quality athletes that are competing on a national stage, and to see them score points, both indoor and outdoor, doesn't surprise me, and I know he's doing a good job and is leading a program that is both excellent in the classroom and on the track. So I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, I know you didn't show up at NCAAs necessarily, but at the end of the year, we had several who were just pushing for those marks, and we had a lot of provisional qualifiers that just maybe didn't make it inside the top whatever they selected. Yeah. And so, but we had a lot of strong performances there, and then that leads us out to baseball and softball. So just tell us a little bit about baseball season and what we can see there.
Well, I don't think anybody is going to shy away from the fact that baseball had a tough year this year, and Coach Cobble would be the first person to say that. I think, again, they play a 50-game conference schedule and they get no breaks. They kick off the season with a conference opponent, and they finish the season with a conference opponent, basically with nothing in between. So it's a tough schedule. It's a tough grind, and this was obviously a little bit of a down year for us, but I know that Coach Cobble is looking forward to kind of starting over and getting new kids in, new recruits, and getting some momentum back in his favor. There's something going on 24/7 down at that field, so it's not for lack of effort. They're working really hard, and it's just incredibly competitive, and it's so easy to have one down year. I know that they really suffered through a lot of injuries, both on the mound and in the field, and even with their hitters, and so it was just one of those years.
It was one of those years, and I know if anybody is going to get it back and wants to get it back, it's Coach Cobble.
Cobble, absolutely.
We'll believe he'll get that done, and then we'll bounce back and forth. So we'll go to women's golf, who finished in the 21st in the nation, and then they also made a regional appearance this year. So
had a very solid season. Unfortunate. Didn't have the same personnel we started the year with due to some academic issues, but had a solid 5 girls. They competed hard all year long. Like you said, they finished 21st in the country, qualified for a regional, which is not easy to do, especially in the Lone Star. So just proud of them, proud of the position and the way that they represent the school. And again, they've a nationally competitive program on a massive stage, which is pretty impressive.
No doubt. And I know we're excited about who they're bringing in next year and the core that they have right now. So
absolutely.
Next year we can make some noise. And then softball, we'll switch back over to the Diamond. Finished 38-17, and in third place on the Lone Star. They made it to the Lone Star Conference championship game, as well as making an NCAA regional for the 4th year in a row. And they made the championship game of that as well. So what do you see out of softball this year?
Well, Shaylee's done a fantastic job, not only taking her team to Honduras for a mission trip in December, and establishing her team culture and her chemistry and how she's going to operate. They've been to a regional twice now in her first 2 years. As you mentioned, they lost to Tyler in the conference finals, but it was at Tyler. I think Tyler had maybe lost 4 games in the season to that point.
And they never lost at home, which they never did the whole year.
Never lost at home. We kind of knew that the conference tournament and the regional tournament was going to go through Tyler, and they're just they're just a little bit better than us this year. But I think, Shaylee is so hungry to prove that they can be successful and get the team to that level. And our girls are such high-quality kids. Their performance in the classroom and on the softball field is unbelievable. And so, just amazing.
And I think we've seen some really cool growth. I got to talk about that with Shaylee at the last interview of the year. But from Coach Heath to Hayes to now, and we had never been in a regional in 2019, and now it's kind of the standard, and that's the expectation. So it's cool to see the foundation that Heath laid, and then got to see what Hayes could grow it into, and then to see Shaylee continue that success over there.
100%. You cannot take that for granted. It is just making a regional 4 years in a row is so impressive, especially in the Lone Star, because it is so competitive. And if you look at our regional, right, there were 7 teams in the Lone Star out of the 8. Only Colorado Christian, who won the RMAC, was in the regional. So from the RMAC. So it's difficult. You can be a very good team like Angelo this year, who was ranked in the top 10 at different points in the year. They didn't even make the regional. So yeah.
And we'll mention Jill Dixon had a phenomenal year as a freshman.
Yeah.
Set the strikeout record for the season for OC, and so that was impressive to see. And we are excited for her future here, as well as the rest of the team who's coming back next year. We have a strong core of seniors, so it'll be fun to see what kind of noise they can make. So we'll wrap it up for the sports year, talking about your team, men's golf. So they just wrapped up the season in Warren, Ohio at the national championships, advancing to the championship match for the 2nd year in a row. But throughout the year, you beat an all D1 field at Torrey Pines, won the Lone Star Conference Championship, had Ezekiel Rodriguez win the individual championship in the Lone Star Conference, and be the player of the year. And so what'd you think about your season? Yeah.
There's a lot of accolades there, and I'm not going to shy away from that. My kids, I had 4 guys returning from the team that finished national runner-up in 22. And they set out from our first team meeting that they wanted to put themselves back in that position to have a chance to win a championship. And so they did that every time they laced them up going to the golf course. They worked hard all year long. We were able to be successful out at Torrey Pines in an all D1 field, and almost won an all D1 field tournament at Arkansas State in the fall as well. Ezekiel had, I think, statistically the best season of any OC golfer ever in relation to par. He was .63 under par for the season, which is incredible. I think he shot over 74 one time, which is really not fathomable. Won twice, and as you said, was Lone Star Conference Golfer of the Year, won the Lone Star Conference Championship. So really, really impressive stuff out of Ezekiel. Mateo, a returning first-team All-American, didn't have necessarily probably on the golf course as good a season as he had the previous year, but he was 72-0, basically 0.3 of a shot higher, and didn't win, but probably, played very consistent. And so, is also going to be an All-American. Finished 14th at the National Championship, so he'll be an honorable mention All-American. Alejandro Amijo, our fifth-year senior, also finished 11th at the National Championship, so he's going to be an honorable mention All-American. He won twice, won Houston and won Cameron, set the program record for 9 under par at Cameron, shooting 63, which is off the charts impressive. And then you look at what Oskari did this year, just playing solid all the way through. So, we had the goal of getting back to the national championship. At regionals, we made it on the number. Again, we can't seem to make that easy on ourselves. It's just that much pressure. Qualified for finals and then kind of blew the field away the first 3 rounds of finals, and then won our morning match against Simon Fraser, and then beat the number 1 team in the country in West Florida in the afternoon, and then put ourselves in position against Nova Southeastern on Friday morning to play for a national championship again. And at the end, a couple of bounces just didn't go our way to finish it off and get it done. But I couldn't be more proud of how we competed and how we represented OC, and mathematically to finish in the national championship match 2 years in a row is not even fathomable, really. So, I'm just really proud of the guys.
Yeah, and we saw even Lee, who won the national championship last year, did not even make it back to the national championship. So, regardless of the final result, just like you said, impressive nonetheless to make it back to that spot. And so, with all that wrapped up, we want to get into Day of Giving a little bit. So, Luis Lopez led an incredible campaign all the way through from just communication out front to the coaches and to all the staff to make sure we were on top of that, to providing the content that you saw on all of our social media pages that may have also got some of our social media pages suspended if you haven't seen anything on Twitter. And so that could be the reason why. And so what did you see and what do you think of the Day of Giving campaign this year, raising $230,000?
No, Luis's work was incredible. So Christine Meredith and Luis and their office in advancement, everyone all the way down the line, Hannah, Jamie, all of them were incredible for us in coordinating our first Day of Giving. To think that we could raise $234,000 in one day is incredible to me. I know that providing a platform for people to give is very important and something we haven't done, I don't think, a great job of in the past. And so I'm excited to see that be successful. I'm excited to see so many coaches get behind it and push the information out, and so many athletes be involved, and so many alums just get involved. And so I think people outside of Oklahoma Christian are seeing the opportunities that we're continually providing for our student athletes. In a Christian environment where kids are getting a great education and they're getting a chance to compete for championships, and so people are supporting that, and that tells me we're doing a lot of good things, which is exciting. So I can't kind of wait to see how it unfolds next year.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, and so you can stay tuned to that to see when we will be doing our Day of Giving next year, and continue to help support Eagles athletics as we continue to pursue those things. So with all that being said, Coach, what are you thinking for 2023, 2024? What are you excited for? What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm currently trying to decompress a little bit, and so but no, I'm looking forward to just continually watching the momentum of the sports. I know that swim is thinking the same thing. They can't wait to finish inside the top 10. I know that they just signed a very impressive kid last week. I see, like we talked about, men's, women's soccer, volleyball, softball, golf, whatever it might be. I know we've got a lot of coaches that care a lot about their student athletes, and they're working hard, recruiting, raising money, and scheduling, and trying to figure out ways to do things better than before. And so I'm actually excited to see where we finished in the Directors' Cup this year. I think it'd actually be a little bit higher. And, hopefully we can build on that momentum and do some great things. Awesome.
Yeah, we're excited here, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, Craig.
And we see you fans and alumni. We saw a lot of support this year, so we're excited to see you here at the soccer field, at the baseball field, softball field, in the Nest. Fans, alumni, supporters, we can't wait to see you again in 2023, 2024.